Have you ever wondered how the first cities emerged and changed the course of human history? What would have happened to great civilizations like Mesopotamia, Egypt, and China without the secrets revealed by the first cities? Get ready for a fascinating journey as we explore how small villages gave rise to empires, cultural revolutions, and inventions that shaped the future of our species. Imagine living in a time when there were no cities, just nomadic tribes moving from place to place. This was the scenario for humanity over 10,000 years ago. But something incredible happened. People began gathering in fixed locations, building homes, and creating structures that lasted centuries. The first cities were born, and with them, a transformation of everything we know. From trade to religions, new forms of government and technology, ancient cities became the starting point for the world as we know it today. But what exactly made the first cities so special? The answer lies in innovation. Before them, societies were nomadic, living in small villages with few people dedicated to hunting, gathering, and immediate survival. There was no fixed location, so resources were limited and movements were constant. The transformation occurred when the first civilizations began to master agriculture, marking the birth of the first cities. With advanced techniques like irrigation, agriculture allowed populations to settle and grow, creating a solid foundation for urban development. People no longer needed to move in search of food, making it possible to build villages and later cities that became hubs of power, culture, and knowledge exchange. In places like Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley, agriculture was essential for the formation of these great cities, providing a steady food supply that enabled large-scale population growth without relying on seasonal hunting or the natural limitations of a nomadic environment. As agriculture advanced, trade flourished, becoming one of the main drivers of city formation. The first cities became commercial centers where essential goods like grains, textiles, and precious metals were exchanged. This made cities like Ur, Babylon, and Thebes not only great centers of production, but also hubs of cultural and economic exchange. Trade wasn't just a way to accumulate material wealth, but also a route for the dissemination of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. The exchange of goods with other regions allowed new inventions to reach these cities, making them more innovative and dynamic. At the same time, trade also brought cultural diversity, with people from different ethnicities and beliefs contributing to the creation of more complex societies. This dynamism was fundamental to the evolution of the first cities and the emergence of an interconnected economic system that laid the foundation for future civilizations. In addition to being trade centers, the first cities also became focal points for cultural, religious, and technological innovation, deeply shaping human history. Ancient cities were not only places for the exchange of goods, but also for the exchange of ideas, where different cultures mixed, creating an environment of creativity and progress. In many of these cities, architecture and construction were some of the first expressions of this revolution. In Egypt, the pyramids were not just symbols of power, but also reflections of advanced knowledge in mathematics, engineering, and astronomy. At the same time, cities like Ur and Babylon in Mesopotamia stood out for the development of cuneiform writing, one of the earliest forms of written record in history. This innovation was crucial as it allowed cities to document their laws, commercial agreements, and histories, creating a solid foundation for administration and understanding of the social, political, and economic dynamics of the time. In religion, cities were the birthplace of new belief systems, with temples and palaces serving as centers of worship and authority, where priests and kings exercised almost absolute control over the populations. These places became the heart of ancient civilizations, where the spiritual and secular powers intertwined, creating a fusion that lasted for millennia. The rise of the first cities not only marked the beginning of a new era in culture, commerce, and architecture, but also served as the starting point for the development of the first forms of governance and social organization, laying the groundwork for the administration of great civilizations. In the first cities, power was no longer decentralized as it had been in tribes or nomadic communities, but concentrated in a single authority, making it easier to implement systems of laws and resource management. A clear example of this is the Code of Hammurabi, which became one of the earliest recorded codifications of laws in history. These laws, which governed daily aspects from trade to social justice, became fundamental in maintaining order within the cities and ensuring that the growing social complexity was managed efficiently. Ancient cities like Babylon, Ur, and Thebes were ruled by monarchs who, in many cases, were considered representatives of the gods on earth, granting them absolute and centralized authority. This not only ensured political stability, but also helped consolidate a hierarchical system, where administration and laws were intertwined with divine power. The connection between the political and religious spheres was reflected in daily practices, from decisions about resource distribution to ceremonies for the consecration of rulers. The political and administrative organization of the first cities was crucial for the sustainability of ancient civilizations, as it allowed for better management of resources, populations, and external threats. As cities grew, the specialization of labor intensified, creating a bureaucratic class made up of scribes, administrators, and judges responsible for implementing policies and collecting taxes. These changes created a more complex structure, where social organization was defined by a class division reflecting political, economic, and religious power. This division also allowed cities to expand and connect with other regions through trade, while laws and regulations helped govern these interactions. Moreover, the creation of infrastructures like temples, palaces, markets, and irrigation systems reflected how cities became centers of not only power, but also technological and scientific innovation. Without this centralized governance, it would have been impossible for the first cities to maintain the necessary order to survive and thrive, especially in an environment where competition for resources was fierce and external threats were constant. Therefore, the emergence of the first forms of government and administration in cities was not only a reflection of population growth, but the key to sustainable development and the longevity of these civilizations. The first cities, despite their innovations and advancements, also faced serious challenges that could have led to their downfall. Many of these cities were located in areas vulnerable to natural disasters like floods and droughts, which directly impacted food production and social stability. Moreover, the growing population and complexity of social structures created internal tensions, increasing social inequality, power struggles among elites, and in some cases, popular revolts generated instability. Not to mention the external threats, such as invasions by nomadic peoples or rival empires, which often decimated large cities. The fall of Babylon to the Persians, or the collapse of Ur due to Amorite invasions, are examples of how even the most powerful cities were at the mercy of internal and external factors that could destroy everything they had built. However, what truly ensured the perpetuation of the legacy of the first cities was not physical resilience, but the transfer of their innovations and ideas to other civilizations. Although many of these cities were destroyed or fell into decline, the practices, knowledge, and technologies developed within them were absorbed by other cultures and spread across the world. Trade and knowledge exchange allowed writing, laws, agriculture, and the arts of administration to survive, being adapted and enhanced by other peoples. Even after the fall of empires like Ur and Babylon, their contributions to governance, architecture, science, and religion continued to influence future generations. This legacy spread to new civilizations like the Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians, ensuring that the lessons and innovations of the first cities were not lost, but served as the foundation for humanity's advancement. The first cities were not merely clusters of houses and streets. They were the stage for a revolution that shaped our world. They taught us about organization, agriculture, trade, and most importantly, the power of shared ideas. When we look at the great cities of today, we can see the echoes of those first urban centers that changed everything. And as we'll see, many of these ancient secrets continue to impact our lives in ways we never imagined. The history of the first cities is, without a doubt, the history of humanity at its most creative and revolutionary peak.